What if the best brands aren't built by chasing growth, but by designing a life you actually want to live? Welcome to the Category of One podcast. I'm your host, Perez, and today's guest is someone who proves that business can be wildly successful and wildly fun. Jeff Cayley, founder of Worldwide Cyclery and Kettle Mountain Apparel, two multi-million-dollar brands rooted in adventure, authenticity, and humor. In this conversation, we talk about branding as perception, not polish, why building a lifestyle business changes everything, and how ideas like community, content, and even a real-world treasure hunt can turn customers into true believers. I believe what makes Jeff a Category of One is that he doesn't separate work from life. He designs them together. This conversation reminds me that success is built for the long run. You're not going to want to miss this one, so let's dive right in. What is it about branding that fascinates you? Like, when did you get into branding, and why do you love it so much?
It's a good question. So I started my first business when I was 21, which is still operating now. It's called Worldwide Cyclery. 3 high-end boutique mountain bike shops, retail storefronts, as well as a big online presence. And that business, starting in at 21, I didn't really put much initial thought into branding. In hindsight, the name is too long and too many syllables. The original logo was terrible, and I just didn't really care. I was so focused on the tactics of business and what that business was going to do and how we were going to, curate all the best mountain bike parts in the world and ship them internationally and then help riders that were looking for that type of experience. I was so focused, hyper focused on business strategy and tactics. And I didn't even think about branding. That was probably for, the first 2 years, maybe 3 years even. Then as the business continued to grow, it became apparent that, we needed to just tap into different customer acquisition methods. And another one of the big pieces of the puzzle too was I had hired on a guy with the plans of him becoming an equity holder and business partner, Michael Bartovsky, which and you met him. And yeah, he's still here today. And I brought him on because I just really respected and admired his skill set and everything like that and who he was as a person. And it became pretty quickly apparent to me that he had a visual taste and aesthetic that was just way better than mine. And he had mentioned a couple things. And he's the nicest guy ever, right? So,
Yeah.
Him and I were building out the original Worldwide Cyclery website, and I kind of wanted it to look one way, and he wanted it to look another way. And he was so nice about saying he kind of thought why it should look this way. Anyways, I said, well, let's just email this to 60 people. And so I sent out a couple different side-by-side images of what the website, what I thought it should look like, what Michael thought it should look like. And it was probably 90% people took Michael's. And I go, okay, well, that's that. Clearly, what's going on there, and we'll go with that. I've gotten better, and at least my taste is better. But his ability to, his taste, his ability to create it, see it, envision it. He's an unbelievable photographer. He's just so good. And I started realizing like, wow, that's definitely not the exact skill set I have, and I admired it so much. And that's exactly the kind of business partner you want, is someone who has complementary skill sets to you. And so anyways, as we grew that business, we got much more into content marketing. And that was actually where, to me, the branding side of things, he was a master of the aesthetics, and I was much more a master of the tactics and understanding how to create content that brought value, that was engaging, that was relevant to the target audience. And that's that weird mesh of branding, marketing, advertising, customer acquisition. It's all sort of meshed in together. And we kind of just worked really well together on that type of thing. And I started getting much more interested in, less about the aesthetics, because I knew that wasn't my skill set, and Michael just crushed it there.
You didn't relate to the things that you were doing as branding.
True.
And I just want to say that out loud for people listening. And most people default branding to logos and colors and how things look, the aesthetics. And that's obviously a huge part of it. Building a brand is about creating a perception, an identity.
Yeah, the desired perception.
The desired perception. And to create that desired perception happens by understanding who your customers are and what they want and what their pain points are. And so it's all the stuff that you were doing in business and also the content generation, the content that you're generating. That's branding, because what you say and how you say it and who you're saying it to, that is some form of branding, which is about the process of creating and shaping and influencing that desired perception. It's very easy to just associate branding with the look and feel, but you are a brand builder. And that's how you're building a community. You've built a community. You built some raving fans. That's branding, dude.
And the desired perception is, a little bit esoteric, but then you have to think, okay, what tactfully can I do to actually create that and make sure that it's aligned? What I think of our brand and what I want our brand to be is actually the perception that people then end up having, and what little things would make them have that. And yeah, that's a combination of all of that: content, voice, copy, aesthetics, all that stuff sort of pieced together. So yeah, I love it, man. It's interesting stuff. Kettle Mountain's a second business that we started, and it's an outdoor apparel brand, and we've got that going in 2019, and it's grown quite rapidly for us. And the aesthetics of that brand is very much Michael. The aesthetics of the actual apparel itself is very much a combination of myself, Michael, and our other business partner, Dominic, and piecing all of that together to, kind of create that. It's been so fun. And again, the complementary skill sets of, Dom on product development and operations and business acumen, and myself with strategy, and Michael with aesthetics and sort of creative direction. It's been really fun to sort of create all of that. It's not the crunchy granola outdoor apparel brand, and it's not the athleisure brand by any means. It's something that we feel is unique to us as founders.
I always want to lean into this question because I have an idea of what Category 1 means to me. But as I'm doing this podcast, I want to hear from people who I think are building brands that are Category 1. What does it mean to you? And then consequently, how are you building your brand as a Category of 1?
Category of 1, I guess, to me would be that you present yourself and therefore your company, and the way that the founders present themselves, and the way that sort of comes out within everything that the company does and says and is sort of true to those founders and who they are as people, and reflects their passions and cares and desires. And where that comes to fruition for us is, we are fundamentally believers in a lifestyle business, meaning a business that we can operate that in every way, shape, or form feeds our lifestyle and is entirely intertwined in it. So, we create outdoor adventure travel apparel because we love that stuff. We love making apparel. We're gear nerds. We live that life. We want products in a very specific, particular way, so they work for our lifestyles, which is very much just outdoor adventure travel constantly. It's very true to who we are. We're not making product to sell product to make money. And a lot of people are, and that's all right. Everyone, you gotta make money some way or another. But for us, we feel very privileged and passionate about, building a business that is us. It feeds our lifestyle. We're creating products that we specifically want. We are our target demographic, which is why we know how to make the products to fit the demographic. Everything kind of just oozes who we are as people and what we believe in, and how we want to live our lives kind of comes out within what the business does and says and sort of is and makes.
We're going to talk about your treasure hunt concept in a moment. Have you always had that philosophy of building a business not from the motivation to make money? Like every business is supposed to make money. There's that, right? But did you always have that concept of like, hey, let's just build a business that supports our lifestyle, that is intertwined with that lifestyle? Like, where did you catch that? Where did you pick that up?
From the early days, definitely not. I didn't really know and have that clarity on the concept when I launched the first business at age 21. At age 21, I just finished a short stint racing mountain bikes professionally, and I knew and loved that industry, and I knew the products really well, and I learned how the businesses various businesses and structure and business models worked within that industry. So
Yeah.
it was kind of, to me, it was just, I saw an opportunity. I saw a lot of specific niche high-end retail in the bicycle industry going online. And I just saw the opportunity and jumped on it and went for it, and used a little bit of my e-commerce knowledge and the knowledge of the products and the industry, yada yada. So I kind of just waltzed into it because of that. And after a handful of years of running that business and realizing, yeah, every day is pretty fun because we build bikes that we enjoy, we sell bikes, we talk to people who also ride bikes. We know exactly how to speak to them because we are them.
For
It's
them.
all the same people. So we kind of just evolved into it naturally, not necessarily with clarity or intention or specificity on a lifestyle business. But what I realized a handful of years into it, I've met a few people, and one of them definitely caught my eye, was some weird supplement that had to do with nerves and nerve endings. And just, there's all these like weird niches that people were targeting to try and sell supplements, and had nothing to do with anything they liked. They were just basically building a business to sell shit to make money. Oh, wow. I'm actually pretty lucky because I like what I sell and I enjoy this stuff. So many businesses are struggling so hard to learn and understand how to communicate to their audience and their demographic that would buy their product. And I've never had that problem because I am the same guy. If you were to hand me and tell me to go sell, high-end furniture, I would have no idea how to sell that, and to talk to those people or even know who buys it, because it's just not my thing. I fell into an industry that I loved because it was a passion, and that I was, not dealing with so many struggles when it came to communication and branding and content marketing and customer service, because we knew the people who we were selling to because they were just like us.
Why not build a business that supports your life and who you're trying to be? And why not target people who are just like you? Tell the people about what you've created with this treasure hunt and how that came to be.
So KETL being our second business, one of the main drivers that put Worldwide Cyclery on the map was a whole bunch of good content marketing and YouTube videos in particular. And that business, as a retailer in the bicycle space, we sell all these different bike brands, like literally hundreds of different component brands. You piece all these things together. It's a very technical product. People are really enthusiastic about, custom speccing all these things together to make just the bike they want, upgrading, getting the latest and greatest, yada, yada. So we found some really good opportunity in using our knowledge to just share and educate. And we would share and educate, how to do these certain upgrades, how to piece things together, talk about new products that were released, to do little reviews. So it was very much so educational content marketing on complex products that people were very enthusiastic about. And that was a huge driver of the business for us. Then with KETL, what do we do here? Because it's a little different. It's not we're not a retailer. We're a apparel design and manufacturer. So the education piece, like, is that an angle? Is that one we care about? Will that work? So we just kind of always thought, it's very different. The content marketing's different because the business model and the products is different. So we just kind of always bouncing around ideas. What do we want to do? So we didn't do anything immediately. We kind of, we focused on really good ad creative and building really good product and just running the business well, and figured we'd eventually figure out some type of fun content that we would like to do.
Okay.
And we had a bunch of different ideas, one of which was putting together this thing that I'd come up with called an adventure rally, which was sort of a combination of a gumball rally and an adventure race, very outdoors-esque. And then I realized the logistics of executing that was insanely high. So I pulled back on that idea. Yeah, then the treasure hunt idea just kind of popped out of nowhere, just thinking, well, let's just test this idea. That was my idea. I brought it to the guys, and they of course said, that's awesome, let's try it. So the first one, we started small, and the idea was, okay, I'm going to put out these 10 treasure jars in 4 different states, and inside of these little treasure jars is going to be $500 cash, $1,000 Kettle Mountain gift card, and a little note in there and an air tag so we know when it's found. And we were just I was going to go put these things all over the place in these different states, and then we were just going to release it to the audience, send it via email, post it on Instagram and YouTube, and see what happens. So what we did is when we release it, we say, hey, we hit all these things. This is the idea. Here are the coordinates. Just go
Okay.
find them. So if you were to take those coordinates, you can copy and paste them into Google Maps or any other type of mapping app, just latitude, longitude coordinates. And they're in these pretty remote locations that are way off the beaten path. Oftentimes you have to hike or ride a mountain bike or paddle a long ways and then get to sort of a point. And so there's a lot of navigation involved, and you need to understand how to download offline maps, how to read topography. You to just go and find these things is a little bit challenging, and it's just what we like to do and think is fun. And it's very similar to adventure racing, which myself and Dominic do pretty often. But we had no idea how this was going to go. I thought maybe it's going to be crickets. I figured, if there's $500 cash and a $1,000 gift card, hopefully somebody goes and finds these things. The first edition launched, and within 19 hours, 9 out of 10 of the jars had been scooped up, and people
Whoa.
were stoked. People just saw it and just thought, this is rad, and just went, under the cover of night, the sunrise. I mean, people just charge for these things. The only one that took 30 hours to finally get was on Santa Cruz Island, in the Channel Islands off of Southern California, which is really hard to get to because you either need a boat or you need to book a ferry, and the ferries are always sold out. And so that took a little bit longer to get, but so it worked. It resonated and people loved it, and we loved putting it on. So then we just doubled down and we just keep doing them. And a lot of these treasure jars were placed, some of them were placed in areas that, were much more logical to hike to, most of which were placed in areas that you had to drive to a trailhead. If you wanted to go fast, it made sense to ride a mountain bike for a portion of it, then hike the remainder portion of it because it was unrideable. And some of them were this last edition. One of them was underwater in Lake Tahoe. They've been kind of all over the place. So it's very multi-sport. It makes sense to hike to some, ride to some, swim to some, paddle to some, which very much so fits the kind of lifestyles we like and enjoy, and the apparel we create for that exact same kind of scenario.
That's right. How did you pick these places?
I'm just a mapping nerd, dude. I love studying maps. I love understanding popular areas. And yeah, I mean, once you go down the rabbit hole of being an outdoor nerd, you can just look anywhere and you know what maps to look at, what layers to look at on that map, to look heat maps, mountain bike trails, hiking trails, popularity maps of those things. So yeah, it's actually pretty easy and pretty fun for me to scour maps and find cool places that to find areas to hide these jars. And then I get my potential spot figured out, and then half the fun for me is figuring out where I'm going to put it potentially, and then actually going to try and get to that coordinate myself, and sometimes going, oh yeah, this works out perfect, I'll put it here, and other times going, I cannot physically get here, or this is way too dangerous, and then having to pivot and put it somewhere else.
Clearly, it generated lots of content. What did this actually do for your business and for your brand?
Yeah, so it is no doubt one of those, marketing activities that is qualitative rather than quantitative.
For sure.
And the theory behind it in my head, there's a lot of reasons for it. The number one being this is just really fun for us to do and for our customers to participate in. But from the business lens, the theory is connecting with just the right people, right? So the type of people that I want to be wearing, representing, and basically evangelizing KETL are the type of people that are going to spontaneously go to these crazy adventurous places, know how to get there, navigate there, grab these things, and be absolutely stoked. So the experience of that for someone who takes the spontaneity and goes and gets one of these things, they have a personal connection and a story that is unmatched across any other apparel brand, hands down. The type of person that does that is the exact person I want wearing KETL, and the exact person that I'm certain is kind of the maven within their small community, right? So that's
Yeah.
very likely the person that all of his friends and network go to him when they need to figure out, hey, what should I buy for this camping trip? What should I buy because I'm hiking X, Y, and Z? Like, outdoor gear. What should I get? So it's that guy that goes and gets these treasure jars, and I want them wearing and understanding and being a KETL fan for that reason. So it's very much a way to connect with these very specific individuals that I just sort of have the confidence in are the right individuals that will then talk about our brand well.
Evangelize. I don't know what the statistics is. I think it's something along 3 to 5 times more that people are going to go off of a recommendation from a friend that they already know, like, and trust. I'm sure you could have done the ad route, and maybe you still do, and maybe that is successful.
Yeah, you kind of have to do it all. If you want to build a business these days, especially in a saturated market, which odds are you're in a saturated market because it's 2025 and every market's saturated, you need to do it all. You need every customer acquisition strategy, and you need to be dialing up every single one of them and trying to figure out which ones are most meaningful. And part of the treasure hunt is that word of mouth and how important that is. And ads still work for every business now, but I just see the future where people just become, every year that goes by, people are more numb to advertising and marketing of all kinds. They skip it, they pass it, they're bothered by it. It's too much. And at some point it's going to lose its effectiveness to such a degree that it's just not even profitable to do it anymore. And the ad complex is going to have a bit of a crisis. I could see that very much so happening. And I can certainly see, our target demographic, myself included, doesn't really use social media because who's proud of spending an hour plus a day on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or X?
Yeah.
Who's proud of that? Nobody. But no one's happy that they did it.
No one's proud. I learned recently that the emotion that gets built up after 10 minutes of being on social media is regret.
And everyone can relate to that. No one's going to argue that.
You're just like scrolling. You're like, I know I'm scrolling. And so when I noticed that, I was like, I don't want that feeling of regret inside my system. And then I suppose your people are actually out living their life and living their adventure. I also got to say, it's a very specific audience segment too, that actually has what I would assert is the time, money, and resources and the wherewithal to be able to do these adventures. So it's a brilliant brand activation marketing activity to enroll them, engage with them, because they're going to be the evangelists. And so if you were to speculate qualitatively and maybe even quantitatively, but if you were just to compare the amount of time, money, because it did cost you money to go to these things and do these things, time, money, and resources to invest in this type of activity versus doing an ad, how would you say? Do you think you spent more on the experience part or less versus doing ads?
Yeah, well, Meta is king when it comes to digital ads. And if you're good at creating ads and you have a good product, Meta will find the right person at the right time and put the ad in front of them. That's just how it works now. So to beat the Meta ad machine would be to see Meta lose its revenue, and that's not happening. It's a very good, sophisticated digital ad network, and you kind of can't beat it. So like I said, you have to do all of it. Here's the thing though, creating good, fun ads that show off our products and having Meta put them in front of the right people and spending money to do so. Yeah, cool. That's fine. I mean, that's an important customer acquisition strategy that of course we're going to do. We have to do. Basically everyone has to do to some extent to grow the brand. Is that anywhere remotely as fun as conducting a national treasure hunt? Not even close. So the hard thing for us is KETL still so young, right? This year KETL is a 150% growth year over year. So to try and say, how much of that was from the treasure hunt versus from the Meta ads versus the Google ads versus our email campaigns, it's a little hard to try and do the attribution there. I guess to me, like I said, the treasure hunt has importance, substance, value, and longevity in case ads become less effective. And frankly, even if it's not as effective, and it probably isn't, like there's no way I could say quantitatively, like if we did a holdout test, we're only going to do treasure hunts or we're only going to do Meta and Google, I'm not going to beat that. No way. But you got to do all of it, and spending the time, money, and resources to do the treasure hunt is frankly incredibly fun for us. So why I'm just going to do it anyway, as long as I can afford to. Substance and longevity are where just current digital marketing advertising falls flat. It works. By all means, if you can get good ads out there, Meta and Google will put them in front of the right people at the right time and they'll buy the product. But there's no substance and longevity there. It's transactional. It's useful. People discover your brand, your products. and it, by all means is useful, but it doesn't have substance. And you know, longevity, I guess, is still maybe. Well, in 10 years from now, will it still be effective the same way it is now? I doubt it, but it could be. You never know.
Here's how I'm integrating longevity and why I think we also get along in this topic, because branding is about, of course, creating a perception and identity, but it's about the long tail. It's about the over time,
Yeah.
and having something that has longevity, because it's actually relatively easy to acquire a one-time customer. But people who are brand builders aren't just looking for a one-time customer. They're looking for a raving fan, a loyal fan, a brand ambassador, and uh, someone who is just like them, someone who's like a lifer almost. That's why if you build a brand, I mean, if you think of Coca-Cola, they don't have to do any advertising or marketing, and their brand is still pretty strong. People are still going to buy sugar water. If the listeners took away one message from you today around building a brand, building a category of one brand, I mean, I have notes, lots of notes for myself, and I'll put all the other notes in here, but I have so many takeaways around having fun and doing what you love and the longevity conversation. But if there was like one message, what would you say all that boils up to or ladders up to?
Something I'm always an advocate for is kind of what we just mentioned in terms of longevity and sustainability.
Yeah.
I'm, because I want to run a business that truly feeds my lifestyle and is really fun to operate and creates products that we're proud of and has happy employees and happy customers, because those are the goals. I don't have revenue goals. I don't have profit goals. I have, those are side effects. My goals are to run a business that's truly fun to operate and make products we're proud of and have employees that enjoy working there and customers that love shopping with us and wearing our products. That's what matters to me. And with that as sort of the objective of business, I am very always focused on sustainability and longevity of the business. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in quick money, quick hits, and doing things that are short-term gain but long-term bad. It's something very important to pay attention to, is how sustainable is your business over the long run. In 10 years, will it be flat? Will it be way better? Will it have created, the impact you wanted? Whether that, for me, that, quote unquote impact is that we just have a really good business that we, like I said before multiple times, we enjoy operating, yada, yada. So thinking about your business through the lens of, is this business valuable, sustainable, and does it have longevity? And do any of my marketing methods also have that, or my branding methods also have that? Because you don't want your customer acquisition strategies to be a house of cards, and especially not when, because if your customer acquisition strategies and/or your customer retention strategies are a house of cards, that's no way to live or run a business. So just think that through with that lens. That's kind of something I'm an advocate for, because it's the way to make sure that you have something that's sort of built to last.
Dude, I love geeking out on your website, the copy, the choice of words that you use, your mission, the visuals, the messaging. And so the way that you've executed the brand is chef's kiss, as they say. So if people wanted to check out more about you, Worldwide Cyclery, Kettle Mountain, or Kettle, where should we send them to? And what would you like to offer up and share?
I use Instagram less than 3 minutes a day. And that's the only social media I use, at my own handle, just at Jeff Cayley. And then, the Kettle Mountain Instagram is just KETL MTN. You can just Google KETL if you want to check out the brand and the apparel. And on the Kettle email list, YouTube and Instagram, we're kind of always talking about, our product creations, why we made the things we made, and of course the treasure hunts when those are going off, which we just continue to evolve those, and they're super fun. So yeah, if anyone listening feels like they want to get involved and going and finding some treasure, we just continue to double down on it, because frankly it's so fun for us to create these things, and people absolutely love doing them. And I mean, at the what we're also realizing too, we didn't actually realize how meaningful it would be for these treasure hunts to actually be real motivation for people to go outside and do something adventurous, because that is kind of scary, especially depending on how qualified you are. Regardless, you're totally going out into the unknown, off trail, using maps, looking for a treasure jar with a downloaded video with visual hints. And people have just absolutely loved it. And some of the feedback and the videos we've received of people who have done it and found these things has just been, whoa, yeah, we have actually really made somebody's,
You made something really cool.
we made something happen that people were really grateful for. So
Just out of curiosity, is this a lone wolf kind of activity? Do people just tend to go on their own, or do they go in couples or pairs or?
combination. I encourage people to go with someone else for safety reasons. But there's definitely some madmen out there that just know how to do this.
They just go.
And they just go straight up for it.
Do you have a mashup of different videos or clips that people have submitted to you? Because it'd be really kind of fascinating to see your brand ambassadors really sharing, like, I got it, or
Yeah, we did. So we did a Treasure Hunt Edition 2 recap video that we put on YouTube that has some of that stuff, and I'm looking forward to getting more of those. It's also one of those things too. It's, a lot of people hear about it in the business space and say like, oh, this is great, UGC, and get people to film all this stuff. And yes, but I also just don't want, I don't know. I don't want to encourage people to go out and vlog themselves. When you find the treasure jar, there's a thing that says, please snap a photo and text it to us. Just so I know that, you got it, yada, yada,
okay,
type of thing. And so we have a lot of photos of people smiling who got these things, but I never ask people to film themselves. And some people just naturally do because it's fun and they enjoy it. But I certainly, I'm much more interested, just fundamentally in getting people to go outside and do something adventurous and fun. If they want to film it, have at it. We'll probably use the content, but yeah, the last thing I want to do is encourage people to use their phones outside. Just go outside.
It's quite remarkable. I'm going to ask you to repeat this phrase that you first shared with me in Malibu, and then I always keep getting the third one wrong, but I'm just going to have you share it. But it's just brilliant how you have the mind of an entrepreneur, right? This quote, right? And the body of an athlete. I always forget the third one, but those are the first two. Can you share
the soul of an artist?
The soul of an artist. Thank you. You're a beautiful embodiment of that phrase and of your brand. And it's a pleasure and honor to call you a friend. You won't see me looking for these treasure hunts just yet.
It's a little over your head, to be honest.
A little over head. Thanks for making time. Enjoy your adventures. And until the next time I see you in person.
Likewise, Ree. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you gathered at least one nugget that you can take into your life today. To dive deeper into my work, please visit reperez.com. That's reperez.com. It's a central hub to explore how to work one-on-one with me, to connect with me on Instagram or social media, or you can check out my new book, Your Brand Should Be Gay Even If You're Not, or you can inquire about booking me to speak to your audiences about the power of building a category of one brand, your unique gifts and your unique superpowers. Lean into what sets you apart, and I'll see you next week.